Let's talk kingdom. He's the one you can lean on. He don't change, he stays the same. Won't find a better reason, no. So come tap in, just listen. And bring a friend, let's spread this vision. Let's talk kingdom. He's the one you can lean on. He don't change, he stays the same. Won't find a better reason, no. So come tap in, just listen. And bring a friend, let's spread this vision.
And shalom to each and every one of you today. We're so glad to have you with us. This is an opportunity. This is the day that Yahweh, who is our Elohim, has made. It is my will, our will, to rejoice and be glad in it. All right, everybody, I'm sending you microphones from me directly, personally to you, so that you are aware that you are invited here. This is a house where we worship together, and many people may or may not embrace that, but we teach here one thing and one thing only, and that is Shabbat, how to Shabbat. I was addressing a matter before I got started here tonight that we were misquoted by some people that said that we don't believe that you should gather on Sabbath. And I like to make sure that when people come through to study with us, who may be your first time studying with us, that please make sure you hear what we say before you run with a soundbite of what you thought because of denominationally preferred, preconceived ideology of a Bible, which I love. But make sure you hear the person before you shoot them down because you came in late and you heard a statement in the subject, but you never understood the intention for the subject matter. And so we were taken. So I'm looking for MJ Quinn to come into the room tonight. So if she comes in, moderators, I think it's a she. If she comes in, let me know. Don't just let me know. Please bring her up on stage. I want to make sure she has the opportunity to speak, her share. I want to love on her in the word, and there's a possibility they may come in. I want to be very clear to all of my SDAs and all of my Hebrew Israelites and all of my Messianic Jewish and all of my Orthodox Jewish, Yemenite, Mennonite, Ashkenazi, Sephardic, brethren of the bloodline of Israel and of the Israel by faith community and Christianity at large, all of it, Catholic Christianity, and as well as Protestant Christianity. And however that has splintered out into your world and the world you may be a part of, I want you all to know we're not ever coming for you and what you believe. We are simply sharing what it is we live and how we believe. And because our titles, which are not clickbait, are designed around biblical topics, we are making the effort to connect the biblical topics to the word found in the Bible. And in doing so, people may think you're going against God because you help bring clarity to commentary in our Bibles that is not the Word of God. And so, in a very quick way, we want to make it clear we, in these programs, when you see that DKM symbol right there, we are in Darash Kingdom Ministries, which is overseen by VWJ Ministries and Crusaders for Christ Evangelistic Ministries from way back when. But when you see DKM, we are coming from Torah, the first 5 books of your Bible. And it is to follow the commandments of Torah so that we understand it the way Elohim intended it. And so when you come into DKM, we are a family. We are an actual citizenship. We've been in ministry for almost 30 years. And we're never going to stop teaching how we teach, but we will always enhance what we teach. We will always share it in love and in endearing joy towards you, and hear you and your viewpoint of it and study with you, and you study with me, and we go into the writ and see what Elohim says about subjects we have put together based on much of really religion as opposed to his instruction, and not to fight them and anything, just to vet them. For out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, we are to let every word be established. And the word of Elohim found in the Bible, whether your 66 books of the King James Authorized Bible or your 84 books of your Apocrypha that many of you think you need to read because you're missing something. There are 5 books in both of those books. There are 5 books in both of those Bibles that are the word of Elohim. And all of the other books after that are actually commentary and prophets reminding you of the first 5 books, which are the instructions of Elohim. And so when you read the prophets, pre-exilic, exilic, post, when you read the prophets, major and minor, they're all reminding you of the first 5 books. When you read Chronicles and Kings, when you read Samuel and 1 Samuel, you are reading storylines of people who obeyed the Torah and got the reward. And then you're reading storylines of people who did not obey the Torah and got the reward of the law of sin and death, which is the cursings that come with the instructions. The instructions are the first 5 books. So in the Darash Kingdom Ministries, we are here solely for the purpose of reading the Torah. And it is pretty much in a Sabbath keep as this, to bring us to the instructions of the Creator and then move us forward progressively in how he wants those instructions carried out. So someone believed that we were admonishing that you should not go to church, and you should not admonish people not to do that. So we had a conversation, I guess, in text, and everybody is bold behind their keyboards and their QWERTY board and their inboxes to say whatever they feel like they want to say. And so you will be called blasphemous. You will be called narcissistic. You will be called a cult, just because you go against what someone has always believed for many decades. And that's what Messiah came to do. He was clear. He said, I didn't come to bring you peace. He was shalom in himself. But he says, I came to bring a sword, meaning I came to cut some stuff off of you that you allowed to grow out of you and thereby on you and overwhelm you and overshadow you with what you think you are. And so I want to really, really, really have the opportunity today to just let you all know, when you come here, we don't come here to antagonize or to judge another who studies and believes differently from us. We are here because we live Sabbath. If you're out there today and you're on a keystroke, or you have a keyboard in front of you and you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook or you're on Clubhouse, would you please type in I live Shabbat, or you can say I delight in Shabbat, or I delight in the Sabbath. Either of those three work. We are a citizenship of the kingdom of Elohim on earth, who lives the instructions of the actual governance of his kingdom. So if you delight in Sabbath, come on, put it down there, write it in. I live Shabbat. I delight in Shabbat. I delight in Sabbath. All righty. Thank y'all in Clubhouse. Oh, that's awesome. I don't think I've ever got that quick of a response on Clubhouse. So glad, so happy. Good job. But if someone wants to, and moderators, invite a MJ Quinn, MJ space Quinn, capital M, capital J space QIN, I think. Someone just make an invitation to that individual, and this way they can come in. And I want to give them opportunity to share what's in their heart, because I think they just misquoted us and they thought that we were coming for their denomination. And if everybody knows who we are, we teach you every Sabbath how to Sabbath. What Sabbath is, because many people get saved and they come into the faith, they hear us teach, and they're like, man, I never heard it that way. And then they're like, well, how do I keep Sabbath? Are we Seventh-day Adventists? Are we Jehovah's Witnesses? Are we Hebrew Israelites? Are we a camp? We're none of them. We are believers in the way. They were first called the way before they were ever called Christians. They were first called Christians at Antioch. Yeshua HaMashiach was very clear when he says, I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. Any man who believes on what's in me, no man can come unto the Father except by me. And he was the living word. Without faith, he was faith walking. He was faith in practicality. He was faith in functionality. Without faith, it is impossible to please El Elohe Israel, who is our El Elyon, who is El Shaddai, who is Yahweh. And when you really understand that, you take a position of following his instructions. It's a really beautiful thing when you can listen to Messiah say that I'm the way, the truth, the life. And then you can understand that Elohim wants you to please him the way Yeshua pleased him. But you got to know how Yeshua pleased him. Yeshua pleased him not by reading the books of Galatians, and not by reading the book of Thessalonica, and not by reading the books of the Psalms. He didn't please the Father by reading the books of Proverbs or Kohelet, being Ecclesiastes. He didn't please the Father by reading the prophets. He pleased the Father in his flesh suit, like our flesh suit, by keeping the instructions of the Torah, which is what Yahweh gave to Moshe. And this is like phenomenal to me that we overlook that. We conveniently preach it, but we overlook it in practical functionality. And so when our religious institutions and organizations of the modern day begin to propagate from its pulpits the things we say and share, we must never forget Yeshua came to live the word. And the word was what was given to Moshe, not what was given to Saul, not what was given to David, not what was to write, and not what was given to, Luke, not what was given to John, Peter, Paul, Titus, Jude. He came to live what was given to Moshe. That's deep. That's so crazy good that we think it's crazy and we won't do it. And Messiah, no matter how many times he told you, I didn't come to destroy the Torah, I came to show you how to live it. Another place he says, the things you hear me say, they are my Father's words, what he gave to Moshe. The things you see me do, they are a result of my Father's words, which was given to Moshe. Father, John 17, I gave them your word. That you gave me, I gave them your word. And now I don't pray for the world. I pray for them I gave your word to, that they would be one like you and I are one. I don't know how we missed all of this. Actually, having gone to school, I do know how we missed it all, because we got caught up in the theology and we got caught up in the how does God think way of trying to please him. And instead of an approach on what does Elohim want us to do, we as nosy human by nature, we're nosy by nature because of the eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We started thinking, or we started putting our focus on how God thinks, as opposed to what he wants us to do. And we think like the first Adam, we can think like him. Thus, y'all ready for this mind blow? Are y'all ready? Because I'm not going to do it until y'all tell me y'all ready.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
I'm going to hold it back until I get enough of y'all to say, I'm ready. I want to know. I want to know.
I want to know.
Okay.
I'm ready. I want to know.
Okay. All right. Cool. That was 4 people. All right. So here's the catch. We are so caught up in trying to think like God that we're not concerned with trying to do what God said do. Thus, we have a Greek word that looms over all Protestant and Catholic Christendom. And then, some took it and spread it over other faith systems, and they call it, watch this word, trying to think like God. What is God thinking rather than what did God say to do? I'm going to say it again. What is God thinking rather than what God Elohim said to do? And we come up with this Greek word that looms over all faith systems, specifically Christendom, both Protestant and Catholic, and even in Judaism. We come up with this ideal of theology. Theo is a Greek word for any God. Ology is the ideology. So what are the ideas of God? How can we know what God is thinking? That's theology. How can we think like God? What is God thinking when he made the heavens and the moon? He didn't ask you to know what he was thinking when he made the moons and the stars. He told you they are there for signs of times. What is God thinking when he made the sea? He told you. He made it for a reason. Why did he put man on the earth? He told you to till the ground. Where we went off was finding the knowledge of good and evil because of Adam consuming that tree. And now we think we can think like God, and thereby we should be like God. And that's what he tried to tell us. It was like, did you think eating a tree, its fruit that I made, Elohim, I made the tree that gave you the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil? Did you think you eating the tree that gave you knowledge of those two factions, that it made you like me? So in the Greek, theology is you trying to think like God. And in the kingdom, he just wants you to be obedient to the words he gave you. You think too much. Just do what I asked you to do. That's how Adam got in trouble. Just do his word. So we want to think about it. I want you to keep these feasts forever, throughout all your generations, in all of your dwellings. And I want them done on the days I tell you to proclaim. Well, I don't know if God really wants us to do that because the temple's no longer existence. And I heard that Levi got fired, so the priests are no longer over the Temple Mount. There's actually an Islamic mosque on top of the mount where the temple actually rested. So I don't know if we should be doing that, because we can't take sacrifices to Israel because the Levites are no longer in the temple. So they can't make the priests, the Levitical priests can no longer make the charge and make the sacrifices because they don't possess the land. And an Islamic, after a holy war that they called a holy war in the world, that the Islamics beat the Jews, and therefore they now have the mosque. And though Israel is cohabitating with both Islamic and Judaism, we don't have rights. So we can't do those things because the Levitical order is not there. Well, if you read your Bible, you read it through the lens of the Torah, Levi is no longer the high priest. He got fired. You have not a high priest now who has not been touched by the feelings of your infirmities, who has been in all point touched as you. Yeshua is not from the tribe of Levi. Yeshua is from the tribe of Judah. He is your Gadol Kohanim, no longer Levi. I don't care what Levi is doing. Yahweh said, keep this feast forever. Levi screwed it up. Yeshua has taken that job. I don't know where we're missing this at, but I do know why we're missing it. It's because we're caught in trying to think like God. Theology. And we're all getting degrees in thinking like God. And then Yahweh, he tried to spare us and says, your thoughts are not like my thoughts, human, who I made. And you made the mistake of eating the tree of the knowledge of good and evil without me, so I could parentally guide you into what would flood your minds. You ate it without me, and now you're seeing things differently than intended. So you were sold on the fact that if you ate this fruit, you would be like me, and you actually fell for that. And now you got some knowledge that I didn't give you, though I put it in the tree, but you didn't get it accessed by me. And now you think you are me. Theology. And now every believer, modern day faith systems of Judaism, our Hebrew Israelite camps, Christianity, both the Protestant and the Catholic versions, and the myriad of splintered versions of the Protestant versions, which are Methodist, Baptist, Presbyterian, Wesleyan, Lutheran, Foursquare, Assemblies of God, Jesus Only, First Baptist, Second Baptist, Third Baptist, AME, CME, UAME, Presbyterian, Episcopalian, Evangelical. Now you got non-denominational, which is a denomination, and then you have all the different Church of God in Christ, Church of Christ, Church of God. Now you got SDA, SDA Baptist, SDA Methodist, SDA Pentecostal, SDA, and I don't come at any of them, but all of that is because of trying to think like God rather than obey the God of our salvation, whose word said, do this. I didn't ask you to think about it. I asked you to till the ground. I didn't ask you to think about it. I asked you to meet me here every seventh day. I didn't ask you to think about it. I asked you to come before me, and I will share with you how to do what I need you to do in the seventh day for the 6 days that you must work. I didn't ask you to think about it. 6 days must you work. I didn't ask you to think about it. On the seventh day, you come before me. I didn't ask you to think about it. I told you to do it. That is profound. How we trying to be theological have missed being obedient. Theology makes you find a way to do it your way and justify it because you have taken journeys into the divine sphere of the spirit and have tried to touch God in your own way, Nimrod. And then be like God. Build your own temple up to Elohim, Nimrod. And isn't it weird how everything that tried to exalt itself as an organization to go up into the heavens and sit next to God, because the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil still has a residue in all of us that we think we're like God? Theology. And we go and we get our church, the Catholic Church, the Protestant Catholic Church, the church of this, the church of that. And we are putting our organizations and trying to make them next to God. And when Elohim sees us nimrodically approaching him, he says to himself, let us go down and confound their language. So the Catholic Church tried the same thing that Nimrod did when Nimrod and Babylon began. The Tower of Babel is because Nimrod tried to build, and Yahweh went down and confused their language. Then the Catholic Church, amongst other organizations and people, tried to build their division of divinity up with their mono and polytheisms, and then Elohim had to go down and confound their languages. So the Catholic Church got split. Now it's Catholic, and then you got Protestant Christianity. They made Christianity, and then the Christian Protestant Church tried to rise up, and Elohim went down and saw that and confused its language. And now you got Methodist, Baptist, Presbyterian, Lutheran, Wesleyan, all the different denominations of that. Are we not seeing the method of Elohim here in full view? And we just keep walking by it like it's not what's happening. Yahweh doesn't care what you think about his instruction. He cares that you do it. You searching for knowledge does you no good when Yahweh has an actual portion of his wisdom ready to impute into you when you sit with him in Shabbat. And that's what we do. We sit in Shabbat. I no longer want to think like God. I just want to obey him. That's a wow for me. It should be a wow for all of us. And when you understand that Elohim wants you and I to not think about what he said, it's like a parent. Now that I've been a parent and grandparent now, and a leader of men and a leader of women who are all grown and making their own money and making their own way and got their own, groups that they have following, and they've got people under them, and they are in a movement, they are in authority and under authority. And being a leader, you come to understand that when you come into an organization, the organization doesn't want you to think like the owner of the organization. It pays you to obey the words and the standards of operation of the owner. Doesn't want you thinking about anything other than how to do what I told you to do. Now, if you find a better way to do what I told you to do, cool. But you are not here to think like me, the owner. You're here to think about what I told you to do and get it done. Theology keeps us trying to rewrite Elohim's will and way. And that's how you have religiosity, and we dub a humorous term called churchiosity. That's why we come into Sabbath to go back to the original instructions. What did he say to do? He doesn't care what I think about it. He cares that I'll do it. He cares that I obey him. So when you come to DKM, these are the things that you begin to understand. And these are the ways that you live out your faith. Are you going to be perfect? No, too late for that. You done messed up and screwed up so much in life, but you do have, when you give over to him your heart and mind, you have the ability to see how perfectedness can work in your life now. And though you may work from the perfect law of life, you've already failed. So none of us are perfect except Yeshua, because he lived the word out unto his death. Most of us didn't live the word out unto our death. We died a couple of times because we didn't live the word, because the wage of sin is death, right? We were separated from the Father. And so now he wants us to start living like Yeshua lived, the ensample, the the proper demonstration of a life fully committed to the instructions of the word. Did you know that Yeshua never thought like God? He never thought like the Father. He just obeyed the Father. He told you the things you hear me say, they're not my words, they're his words. I'm just doing it. The miracles you see me doing, they are results of me doing these instructions that Elohim gave Moshe. I'm not rewriting the book here. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I came to show you how to live it. The prophets were not trying to get y'all to follow them. As a matter of fact, when they would come by, y'all'd kill them. They were trying to get y'all to remember, hey, the reason you got oppressed, the reason the Assyrians ran over your gates, the reasons you don't have your corn, the reasons you don't have your wine, the reasons you've been drug off your land that I promised you is because you disobeyed my words. You try to think yourself out of them. You try to think yourself into some slick way of not obeying me. And when you don't obey me, it makes you get separated from me. And if you're separated from me, my head is pulled from you, and any marauder and any other opposition and any other kingdom that sees you as something that they can make subservient, they will do that. And I can't help you because you've disconnected yourself from doing what I said do, because you were thinking about doing it. You thought, when should I do it? You thought, can I do it this way? You thought, should I do it that way? You thought, do I really have to do it? You thought, why am I? Do y'all know something that's been really on my mind a lot lately? Can I share it with y'all, something that's on my mind a lot lately? Some of you may have heard me talk about it, but I want everyone to understand that this is a really big reveal. And it's been bothering me for the last 18 years. And I'm just trying to find the best way to explain it to everybody. And though I started it in this talk and it referenced, someone mishearing us and then running with that because they heard a sound bite because they came late and they think they religious. And you're wrong. You don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together. I never said you don't. It's not that we must assemble. Our problem is in Christendom and in much of the faiths that have developed post 70 AD, 72 AD, we are gathering at the wrong times. So when we were talking about don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together, as the manner of some is, we weren't saying don't go to church. But let me put my feet on the ground. Hold on. Let me set myself. I keep footies when I'm walking around my house, so I'm going to take my footies off. Hold on. Wait. Just give me a second. Just chill. Wait. Okay. All 10 toes and my heels are on the ground. I never told you, and the word never tells you not to assemble. It tells you when to assemble. And the problem with Christendom today, and I stand on this, is that we are not to gather every Sunday. We are not to gather in a building on any seventh-day Sabbath. And because your church, your denomination makes people come to sit in your gathering place, preaching, serving, playing drums and organs, serving, ushering, serving, parking lot ministry, serving, napkin ministry, serving, finance administration, serving, HR, serving, pulpiteers, serving, mother's board, serving, deacon board, serving people on a day you serve no one. You don't gather on the seventh day Shabbat to serve. The only time you gather when he says, forsake not the assembling of yourselves. You are not to forsake the assembling of yourselves, as the manner of some is. When that phrase is put in, the Greeks did a terrible job of translating that. What Paul was saying was, the epistle was saying was, do not forsake the assembling of yourselves together, as the Torah explains. There are only 3 seasons you gather at the tabernacle as a unified people. In those 3 seasons, there are 7 appointed times. In those 7 appointed times, 2 of them are 2 days long. That makes 9 days you carry your body as a group of people to the place Elohim put his name. You only gather at the building 9 times in 365 days, called a year. You're going to learn that tonight through the Torah, through the book of Hebrews, through the book of Isaiah, and you're going to get it from the book of Shemot, chapter 16. So when we said, Paul says, do not forsake the assembling of yourselves together, and the persons came in while we were already in the subject, they heard a soundbite and ran with that. Now we're a cult. Now we are narcissistic. And when they challenged us, I simply said, well, I got 2 PhDs in this. So I'm not just coming from anywhere. So where you are learning your argument, I went to that school twice under 2 different denominations and graduated. And I've been pastoring for 30 years. And so I'm not talking foolishly. I'm sharing the information, how we got it wrong, and where it says it the way it's supposed to be. For he is the author, and Yeshua became the finisher of that faith. You only gather 9 times in a year, people. Christianity and all of the Babel faith systems we have that got split up because their organization was so great and so grand, and you're going to come to church whenever we say come to church. It's okay to go from house to house breaking bread, but that wasn't a mandate from Elohim. It's okay to do your revivals. It's okay to go to church on Sunday, but that's not the day Elohim mandated you go. So when the epistle was indicting, forsake not the assembling of yourselves together, as the manner of some is, he was saying, like Paul said in Romans 12, present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable, kodesh and acceptable unto Elohim, which is your reasonable service. Reasonable service and the manner that some is, those 2 phrases mean according to the instructions of the Torah. So present your bodies according to the instructions of the Torah. Forsake not the assembling of yourselves together, as the Torah has indicted. David tried to give us a clue in Psalms 133, and we quote it and sing it in church every time we have a revival, thinking that we are in alignment because we got people to come with an email blast, an invite, bright invite, and then with knocking on the door, leaving door hangers and going in the parking lots and shoving paper and polluting the world and putting paper in people's windshield wipers and shoving them in their doors and putting them in their mailboxes and telling them to come out to the church alive, which is worth the drive. And we're going to have a move of God. And then we're telling them, oh, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. For they're the king. You know, no, that's not what David was saying. David was saying what he'd always been saying. Oh, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Those 9 days that you go to the sanctuary to present your body and not come before him empty, Elohim is guaranteed to be there. Your church event that is not on those 9 days does not guarantee Elohim's presence, because he's promised to be there on those 9 days. You know why? Because they're the days he said to come. So when we talk about presenting your body, when we talk about not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, oh, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. When we come together, when Elohim says it 9 times in a year, 7 appointed times in a year, 3 feast seasons in a year. So these 3 feast seasons represent 7 appointed times, and those 7 appointed times are carried out over 9 days. That's when you come to what he calls a Kodesh Mikra. He calls a holy convocation. That's when you assemble. It is mandatory that you assemble. The problem is theology, trying to think what God means rather than just do what his instructions say. We thinking about, well, when should we go? And when he said, come on Nisan 14, come on Nisan 15, come on Nisan 16, come on Nisan 21, come on Sivan 6, come on Tishri 1, come on Tishri 10, come on Tishri 15, and come on Tishri 22. He didn't say think about it. He didn't say think, well, I think Jesus is our Sabbath. I think you can do Sabbath any day you want. I think that we should have our own church convocation, and we're going to do it down near Disneyland. It's going to have us a good old time down there, and we're going to come in, and then we'll bring the children in for vacation Bible school, right, you know, because we can do it in the summertime after the children are out of school, and we'll make it a mini vacation. And you know, what's it like? How good and pleasant it is for the church people to go on vacation together, have a convention, put the children in vacation Bible school, and just down there with that big old mouse, and we can go and do roller coaster rides later on. It'll be just so much fun, and the deacons can go get drunk, and they can smoke in their cigar lounges, all that they want to do, and we can have all the fun we want. And then we all come back tired, and we'll cancel church on Sunday so we can get ready for work on Monday, because we're going to be tired as all get up. But we had a revival all week down in the place we chose to go to, and that right there is going to be our convention. We'll do that once a year, and we'll get people to give their dues, and we'll get people to prepare and make their commitments and make a vow to give. And when we get them, we'll just tell them, all right, we're going to do this again next year. So we did it at Disney this year. How about we go to Vegas the year after this? So it's going to be a budget. We're going to all need to bring up $1,000 per family, and then we're going to have a bus. I'm going to get a plane, and then we'll have somebody go and organize events for the children, organize events for the women, organize events for the men, and we'll have our convocation, the church convocation every year. And then the next year, maybe we'll go to Phoenix. And how about we really push it, right? Let's see if one day we can't get together one year. And if we really do this right, we can all have our convocation in Israel, the Holy Land. How about that? Your convocation is not his unless it's Leviticus 23. Deuteronomy 16. Yahweh guarantees he'll show up on those days. You decide to make your church anniversary, pastor's anniversary, holy convocation, district meeting, quarterly revival, missionary coming into town. Those are not to be the events we put people under pressure by saying that we would put people under pressure with by saying, forsake not the assembling of yourselves together, because those are not days he told you to assemble. As the manner of some is actually means as the Torah has prescribed. Forsake not your assembling of yourselves together as the Torah had prescribed. Oh. So based on Torah, you don't go to church on the seventh day. Based on Torah, the word of Elohim, you gather as a congregation at the tabernacle on these 9 days. I want you to present your body to me on Nisan 14, 15, 16, 22, Sivan 6. That's 14, 15, 16, 22, Sivan 6. And then I want you to present yourself on Tishri 1, Tishri 10, Tishri 15, Tishri 22. How many days is that, y'all? That's 9. How many seasons? Nisan 14, 15, 16, 21. That's the feast season of Pesach. Sivan 6. That's the feast season of Shavuot. Tishri 1, 10, 15, and 22. That's the feast season of Sukkah. Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkah. 3 seasons. The 7 appointed times in those 3 seasons, Tishri 1 is Pesach, Tishri 15 and 22 are Hakat Matzat, and Nisan 16 is Hag Bikurim, first fruits. Those are the 3 appointed times. Sivan 6 is the 4th appointed time. Tishri 10 is the 5th appointed time. Sorry, Tishri 1 is the 5th appointed time. Tishri 10 is the 6th appointed time. And Tishri's, watch this, 15 and 22, that's the 7th appointed time. That's what that is. 3 seasons, 7 appointments, 9 days. Gather on those days. That's the only time Yahweh has guaranteed his presence to come see about us. That's why David cried, "Who is man that you, Yahweh, are mindful of him?" Listen, who is man that you visit man on the days you've appointed? Watch this. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go to the house of Yahweh our Elohim. This is the day Yahweh has made. I'm going to go and rejoice and be glad in it. Yeah, we got a lot of studying to do. It's been sitting there in plain sight the whole time. And we get offended, especially I was part of SDA. I did everything I could do to really 100% flow and follow with it. I got Jehovah's Witnesses in my family, and they're not Christians per se, but they at least tried to keep some semblance, and it's all wacky and weird, some of the stuff that we all got ourselves into. But when you read the Torah and stop reading everybody's commentary and let Elohim's word speak and not have somebody speak for Elohim's word, which is why Levi got fired. Y'all do know that that's why Levi got fired. Oh, Levi, the Levites. You know they got fired, right? They're still welcome to get salvation, but you know they are no longer the priests of Elohim, right? Oh, they can be in their faith of Judaism, but the kingdom that he designed and asked for them to do all things Torah, all things tabernacle, Yeshua now is over that. He's not from Levi. He's from Uda. So Levitical law is not our issue any longer because it was never Levitical law. It was always Elohim's law. He just put the Levites over all things tabernacle. And so when he addressed all things tabernacle, he said, since the Levites are the tribe over the tabernacle, I'm writing this portion to the Levites, and we called it Levitical law. I do intend to break down every unrealistic stereotype about the word as is humanly possible. This is why knowing Torah is so important. So now that Levi is no longer, Levi, the Gadol Kohanim, Levitical priesthood, is who killed the Messiah. And the Levitical priesthood was supposed to be pointing the people to the coming of the Messiah. And they missed the whole coming. He came and they called him everything but the child of God. And then demanded he be strung up and hung and convinced the people to put him on the cross. Yeah, Levi got fired. Now you and I have not a high priest who has not been touched by the feelings of our infirmities, but who has been touched in all points, just like we. Who is your new high priest, y'all? If you know who your new high priest is, type it in. I'll help you. YAHSHUA. Not Levi. And what tribe is Yeshua from? He's not from the tribe of Levi. He's technically David's grandson, right? Well, David is from the tribe of what, y'all? Uda. So the Levites are not who we are supposed to be concerned about. Their job was to be concerned with the Torah. They messed it up so bad. They made so many augmentations to the words Yahweh gave Moshe that what Elohim has done is put us in a position that Yeshua came to fix it, not just Adam's error, but also to fix the error, of Levi, Levi had one job: teach everybody Torah. You know what Levi did as a group? They introduced the Halakha. They introduced the Talmud. They introduced the Mishnah. Now, for you Christians who don't know what that is, those are augmentations, and they were called the laws of the fathers. So when you read in your New Testament Bible about some of the laws that the Pharisees approached Yeshua about, he checked them. He called cap. He's like, you don't even know the law. You know the law of your daddies. You know the laws of your fathers. The laws that you guys put in place that watered down the instructions, which is why I'm here, to get us back to the instructions, because you guys watered these things down so bad. You have 3,000 to 4,000 halakha laws. You have the Talmudic laws, and you have the Mishnah laws that people in this nation are listening to, because you guys try to think like God. And because Elohim put something in place where no one could go behind the veil into the Ark of the Covenant, i.e. the Holy of Holies, except the Levite, and one Elohim would appoint, the Gadol Kohanim. He says, you guys messed this up so much that the people waited to see you go behind the veil and then come out and tell them what they should do. And you would tell them, this is what God is saying, sometimes rightly, most times inaccurately. And then you and your fathers of the Levitical faith, who are supposedly leaders of Israel, you begin to augment, you begin to convenience the instructions of the Torah and listened and made compassion on the people. Well, if you do it this way, you shouldn't displease the Father. Well, if you carry this much, you shouldn't displease the Father. So let's make that, so let it be written. That's why you had, listen, that's why the Levites had scribes and lawyers. Because the lawyers do just what your Supreme Court of America does. They do what they call a check on the spirit of the governance. So when the Pharisees, when the actual priests would be confronted with an issue that people say the Torah makes it hard to do this, and if we do it the way the Torah says do it, we lose money. The priests would think about that, and then they go into their council, and then they would come back out and say, we believe if you do this, Elohim will be pleased. And then they would get the lawyers who knew where to find the actual law and other laws associated to that, and then get them to gauge it. And you guys, here's what we believe should be done, because we're sages. We are the Levites. We are the Gadol Kohanim and the Kohanim. You lawyers go, here's what we think can be done. You guys go and make sure it can be done, prove it in the law, and make it work in the law. And then come back. And we can teach it to the people that way, that this would be an acceptable substitution. Once it's done, scribes write every area that the lawyers found it in the writ, write our recommendation on it, and make that a book. And we will use that as the reference going forward for what pleases Elohim about that subject. If you haven't studied in Christendom enough to understand a scribe is different from a lawyer, and a lawyer is different from the Gadol Kohanim and the Kohanim, though they are all Levitical. This is why even in American, the greatest supposedly judiciary system on the planet, and I do believe it is, you have the judge, you have the lawyer, and then you have a stenographer. Oops. So when the judge says, I think we can do this, the judges say, we should be able to do this. We think this was the spirit of the forefathers when they wrote it. Okay, let's make this augmentation. Other lawyers, can you find any other cases where this has been done and we can get a vibe of context? Well, we got these and this right here, and then we vote on it. Okay, cool. The vote was unanimous, or the vote was 2-3, or the vote was 4-5. The winning vote, write this down, guys. Scribes, come in here and write this down. And now let's make this law. By the time Yeshua showed up, they had 3,000 laws like that. So when they came to Yeshua, and when you read in your New Testament Bible, they don't do the things of the law. That's the Pharisees and the scribes and the lawyers talking to Yeshua. And he looking at them like, You knuckleheads, and change this law that Yahweh gave so many times. You don't even know you don't even know who you're looking at. You Levites have changed it to convenience the people and never thought about pleasing the Father, that you don't even know who I am. I am who you've been looking for to come, and you say I am blasphemous. You say I am a bastard child. You say I am an illegitimate child because you're trying to think like God and got the people thinking you think for God. And because you go behind the veil. So here's what's going to happen. When I die, I'm ripping this mess down. The veil came down. I don't want just the high priest going into the Torah anymore. I want all of you to have access to it because you need to read it for yourself. These bozos that got y'all doing a whole bunch of stuff that y'all don't even recognize me. You're killing me, and I'm your Messiah. Think about it, Christians. Are y'all learning anything? Am I too intense?
No, we're learning. This is good. I'm learning. Very good. Thank you. Yeah.
So when you don't know the culture and you don't even know that, well, Jesus came and he did away with the law. No. How can he who is the law do away with the law? He came to show you how to live the law. That's why he says, hang me on the cross. So I, the living law, will stand head and shoulders above your halakha, your mishnah, your Talmud, and hanging the law in flesh on that cross made a show of their laws openly, defeating them by saying, this is the way you were supposed to live, not by what the forefathers decided to give you because you greased their palms, and you had lobbyists come to them and say, we need this to look like we're pleasing to God, even though we will not honor the Shemitah year, even though we will give loans, but we don't think that there should be a jubilee that when I give a loan, I got to actually take a short every 7th year, or especially every 50th year, so that I don't lose out on the loan that I gave and I give them back their property. And I just got to make sure what I got was sufficient for that time. I want to put a loophole in. That's why to this day, some of your best, and this is not anti-Semitic, this is just historical, and it is a fact. That is why we have some of the best attorneys. Last names are Cohen, Rubenstein, because they learned from a long time ago how to augment the law, find the loophole, make it sound right, and then make what sounded right the new law. And going forward, we have precedents. Brown versus such and so, Jones versus such and so. In this case, the judge seen it this way. The jury looked at it this way. So this now is a new law, subsection particle 3 of particle 4 of subsection 5. And that's how you got all. And what irritates me is listening to pastors and people who think because of their denomination that indoctrinated them that they understand how you got what you got. And the Torah has been sitting there the whole time telling you what to do. And we constantly keep trying to think like God. He didn't ask you to be his equal. He created you to be his servant. He knows his plans concerning us. Plans of good, not of evil. His plans are to give you and me an expected end. We don't have to think like God. We just have to obey. He does the thinking. Adonai does the speaking of the thought. We need to get those words and regurgitate them so that Ruach HaKodesh can come work alongside of us and perform those thoughts. His, not ours. Yeshua told you, these are not my thoughts. These are the Father's thoughts. These are my words. They're the Father's word. Why did you? Because you got around a whole bunch of thinking men over in Greece. You thought Plato and these guys knew. They're thinking. What you thinking for? You're supposed to be working in the field. Get your butt up. Oh, we are a thinking man, Renaissance and all. No, Yahweh says, I do the thinking, and what I think you do. But we want to think like God. See, I think like God think. You have a problem. You have a problem. You've just admitted you are your own God. Well, I don't think God meant that. How about just reading what he said? So, this is how we live here in this space. Keeping his words, which is what man was made to do. Even the first man, Adam. Did I tell you yet what irritated me the most? I didn't tell you yet, did I? Okay, I'm going to tell y'all now. Here's what irritates me the most within our understanding. Elohim thought, and then he created Adam. He thought, I don't have a man to till the ground. He spoke it. And then he created it. Man, you, me, sinew, eyeballs, ears, nose, hair, nails, sinew, spleen, kidney, marrow, calcium. He put it all together. And then he goes on to indicate he breathed into man a lump of clay, a lump of dirt. In that breath, he was putting his word in man. Man becomes a living soul. Man is an antenna to the divine. He can hear him. El Elyon, the Most High Elohim. Adam, is that me? Yeah, it's you. Come with me. Day 6 is over. You sit with me in day 7. You sit with me in day 7. I'm going to come and tweak you, and I made you to till the ground. Here is what the ground looks like. Here is the entire inventory of what's on the ground, Adam. Now, Adam, what you have to do for them to obey you is you have to articulate what I am articulating to you, and then that will make them know you are the one in dominion. That's why the Bible says that everything Adam called the thing, that's what the thing was. But how would Adam know what a thing was when it was created before Adam was created? Adam came after the pigeon, the turtle dove, the duck, the grouper, the beaver, the alligator, the giraffe, the elephant, the doe, the elk, He came after that. How would he know what it was? Adam didn't make the beasts of the field. Adam came after the oak tree, the sycamore tree. He came after the apple tree, the pear tree. He came after the vines. He came after the figs. He came after the citrus. He came after the walnuts. He came after the pecans. He even came after the creeping things, the centipedes. He came after the beetle. How would he know what they were? Oh, the seventh day. Because at the end of day 6, when the trees, the bees, the fish, the ox was made, Yahweh then made man, and that ended day 6. Adam has no idea why those things were made. He was the last thing made on day 6, and Yahweh told day 6, Adam, come with me in day 7. Let me explain to you what took place and why I made you. Y'all not gonna talk to me? Come on, Clubhouse. Come on, Facebook. I need y'all to let me know y'all okay. Are y'all tracking this out? Come on, YouTube. Give me some strokes up there. Let me know y'all following. I just need to know y'all awake because y'all might be sleeping. I'm gonna let y'all go. I'll come back in the morning and we'll go differently in the morning. But let me know y'all still out there. And for those of y'all who think that I'm just talking off the top of my head and I'm not in the Bible, I got enough theologians on here that will tell you, yeah, he in the word. All right. So when Adam is made last of all the creations of Adoma, he's named Adom. So he sits as one designed to be in dominion with the one who gave him dominion in day 7. And Elohim says to him, this is the inventory of your domain. And by the way, I told the fish, not the sharks, not the jellyfish, but the sharks. I mean, the fish, not the sharks, not the whales, not the clams, not the oysters, not the shrimp. I told the fish, anything that has gills and scales on the same body, or fins and scales on the same body, that's a fish. So I told the grouper, the tilapia, I told the snapper, the red and the yellow. I told the flounder. Yeah, I told those, and they're gonna serve you. And then the birds that I made on day 5, all the fowl of the air, I made them out of the water. I told all the fowl to move into the Adoma because I got a plan for them later on. But they're going to be up here too. They're not going to go back into the water where they were made from. So that's the only thing different from between day 5 and day 6, Adam. So the fish of the sea you have, and the fowl of the air you also have. They'll be on the lower part of they'll be in the dirt area, you know. But those sharks and squids and octopus, don't go mess with them because they that's a whole new world out there. That's a whole different world out there. Don't go out there because they'll eat you. Mm-hmm. Okay. So he tells Adam in day 7 everything he did. So when Adam is told to regurgitate these names, everything Adam called them, that was the name thereof. We have this thing within Christendom where we think that Adam sat there and called this a stork. Adam sat there and called this a seagull. Adam sat there and called this a bear. Adam sat there and called this an elephant. No. He who made it was sitting with him and said, that's what this is. But in order for them to know you got dominion, your voice has to speak. I need everybody who got that to say, I live in a voice-activated kingdom.
I live in a voice-activated kingdom.
That's why you have to understand the enemy wants to do everything it can do to get you to speak the words of the world rather than the words of the word. Enemies and principalities and powers don't care if you quote, "Oh, how good and pleasant it is for men to dwell together in unity." Doesn't care that you quote, "Forsake not the assembling of yourselves together." Doesn't care that you quote, "God is good all the time, and all the time God is good." Doesn't care that you quote anything from, Ephesians, and quote anything from Revelations, and quote anything from Thessalonians, and quote anything from the Psalms. He does. The principalities and powers do care when you quote the Torah. Your biblical quotation is cute. That's for your knowledge. That's for your information. But the word that makes creativity are those first 5 books. Your compliance with them, and then your acceptance of them, and then your propagation of them. That makes the principalities and powers sit down, and they know they can't move because you have the words of Elohim being spoken in the atmosphere, and you know what it means. And you know his name. The principalities and powers do everything they can do to make you quote the Bible. They love you just quoting the Bible. What? I know 35 of y'all gonna just hang up on me right now and think I've lost my mind when I said that. But the word of Elohim is not the Bible. The word of Elohim is in the Bible. And that's why you and I have to seek him daily. That's why we go through the word. That's why he tells you on Sabbath, when I tell you 35 gonna hang up, didn't I? That was funny. The word of Elohim is in the Bible, and you have to search him. That's why on Sabbath, Elohim tells you, don't come in here speaking your own words. So what words does he want us to speak? He wants you to speak his words. Where do I find his words? All you got to do is start reading anywhere between Genesis to Deuteronomy. That's the Torah. Read it, understand it, follow the witnesses of his story. Do you understand what Yahweh did? So let me tell you what bothered me about this is what bothered me the most, and I was leading to that. That's right, Dr. Norris. That's right, Doreen Taylor. Here is what it is. You got to understand, or we have to begin to start operating under. Y'all know Adam was made by Elohim, right? And he took him in the day 7, told him what it was that he would be doing. Adam said, "Okay, I got it. Okay, I understand the inventory. Mr. and Mrs. Giraffe, Mr. and Mrs. Buffalo, Mr. and Mrs. Hippopotamus, Mr. and Mrs. Crocodile, Mr. and Mrs. Alligator, Mr. and Mrs. Silverback. Got it. Centipede, caterpillar, palmer worm, cankerworm. I get it. I got it. Ant, carpenter ant, bee. I got it. Wasp, hornet. Okay, I got it. I got it. Sparrow. Blackbird, bluebird, robin. Okay, blue jay. Got it. Eagle, raven, vulture. Got it. Turkey, chicken. Got it. He then says, I accept my responsibility. I'll do it. I'll till this ground. I'll take care of this garden you've made. Elohim then says, good. It's not good for you to be all by yourself, or it's not good for you to be all one. He puts humanity to sleep, pulls out of humanity the greatest tool and the greatest companion he could ever have. And I dare say tool, I mean to say resource. He pulls the womb man out of the human man and gives the womb man its own pulchritude, its own body. And then he says, this is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called womb man because she came out of man. And I know that skin suit is mine. I know those bones are coming from me. And I know her, she was in me. She was just in the womb. And now you two, Elohim says, will still work as one, but you now got 2 eyes rather than, you got 4 eyes rather than 2. You got 4 ears rather than 2 ears rather than 4 ears rather than 2, 2 eyes rather than 2. And you got resources and vision. Resource in one, vision in the other. So he makes them work together as if they were still physically in each other. So humanity knows its job. He then tells humanity, before he takes womb man out of man, he told Adam, let me back up. I'm going back before he pulled the womb man out. He sits humanity down. Womb man is inside of humanity. He sits humanity down and says, of all these trees you may freely eat, but do not eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Here's my issue. And this is why I keep praying, Yahweh, don't let me get kicked out of heaven when I meet Adam. Because I have times I got a problem with Adam. But he says this, and this is what he does. He says, Adam, of all these trees in the garden, you may freely eat of them, all of them. But do not eat yet of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's the knowledge of good and evil. All right? You don't even know what evil is yet. Matter of fact, you don't even know what good is. Just know it's all good. Don't eat that tree. Eat everything else. Don't eat that tree. And it's not that he put that tree in there to tempt Adam. It wasn't. Adam was good with it. He didn't know. Adam knew nothing, y'all. He knew nothing other than what the word of Elohim gave him to know. Evil, who is enmity against Elohim's goodness, had to find a way to get Adam to go against his creator. Evil, not Satan. Y'all think it's the devil that got into the serpent. What got into the serpent got into Lucifer. I'm going to say it again. Some of y'all believe his name was Lucifer. Some of y'all don't believe his name is Lucifer. We all believe that he is Hashatan, whoever got kicked out of heaven, whatever the archangel was. I believe it was Lucifer, the anointed cherub. Yes, I do. But there are arguments out there that some people have. They hold your attention. That's about it for me. But Lucifer is what his name was. And he allowed evil to get the best of him, just like easier it was for the serpent to be commandeered by evil. The serpent didn't get commandeered by the devil. The devil can't get in anybody. The devil can't possess anybody. Evil can, just like it possessed Lucifer and a third of the angels. Just like it possessed the serpent. So it wasn't the devil that possessed the serpent. Here's what irritates me about Christian theologians who rely so much on the phrase theology to think that they are certified to talk and think all things God. Adam now is succumbed with this idea that I'll be like God if I eat this. Now, that again is something that the Creator made to give you insight. Knowledge is just insight. Knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge successfully is power. So watch this. When Elohim, and I want y'all to answer my question. I want some of y'all answer my question. Say your name, and I'll give you space. When Yahweh made Adam in day 6, drug him over into day 7, talked to him in day 7, told him his job in day 7, gave him a companion and a resource externally in day 7. Prior to that, told him what not to eat in day 7. And then let them come out of day 7 and live several day 7s. Were they what we call naked? That's a question. Was Adam naked? Was Ishai naked? As we know it?
No, sir.
Roundtree, yes.
Okay. I got a yes, I got a no. Anybody else? Say your name. This is tricky. Yeah. Everybody's shy. So when Adam comes out, Yahweh then gives him Ishai from within. Some of y'all call it Eve. And they are his masterpiece. Let me ask y'all a question. Is the lion naked? Or the elephant naked? Or the zebra naked?
Geesh. No, sir.
See, Marie, go.
No.
Geesh, go.
No, they were not naked. So Adam and Eve weren't either.
So was the dogs naked? Are the cats naked?
Wow.
So was Adam and Eve naked?
No. So was Adam and Eve? No.
So then the tree of the knowledge of good and evil now has commandeered their perspective of what Elohim created. So they're no longer looking at things through the knowledge of all good, which is what Elohim is. They are now having this injection of evil's perspective, which is enmity against Elohim, but is needed for balance in the world. So Adam would have been able to eat that tree of the knowledge of good and evil if he would have waited for Yahweh to be the one to introduce it to him for consumption. So evil knew it had to get to Adam to get him to eat that tree before Elohim introduced it to him. Here is why I'm frustrated a lot. And I'm good. I'm just saying I'm not like frustrated, but it did make me really think how we are as humans and why we are as humans. So when Adam eats the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, while he's in his perfected state, he then sees himself and his wife through the lens of evil, and now he thinks their perfection is perversion. And he decides to cover himself with his knowledge. Adam had been in that garden for years. It wasn't like he had day 7 and then he fell. The enemy, the serpent, came over to him on day 8, which, isn't the case. Like next week, and then told him, hey, eat the tree. We don't know how long Adam was there before the serpent realized, or not the serpent, but evil realized Adam had not told his external partner now not to eat the tree, and tested her to see if he had told her. And now the evil goes through the serpent, a comfortable beast of the field that everybody's Gucci with, and then communicates to her, because he comes to what you can trust. He comes to what you think is good, and then he plays his maniacal plan, and his clandestine efforts were successful. Adam now eats the tree. Ishai is not the one who sinned. Adam is. Adam sinned badly here because, one, he didn't tell Ishai what he was supposed to tell Ishai. Because if he had told Ishai, Ishai would not, at that point of being inquired by the serpent under evil's power, have said, yeah, we're not supposed to eat it nor touch it. Here's why. If you were called to till the ground, you are the farmer. So don't you touch the apple tree? Anybody can answer that for me? Say your name. Do you touch the apple and the pear tree? Do you touch do you touch the vineyard? Do you touch the sheep? Do you touch the ox? Do you touch the donkey? Do you touch the pecans? Do you touch the watermelons? You're here to till the ground. Whatever's growing out of the ground, you're here to till it. You till it, you touch it, you care for it, you prune it. He said, just don't eat it. That's how evil knew Adam did not do his job. Adam failed Woman. Woman didn't fail Adam. When the serpent asked the trick question, did not Elohim say? She was like, yeah, and he said we shouldn't touch it and we shouldn't eat it. And that's when evil knew, ooh, here is the crack in the hedge where the serpent can bite. So now Adam is looking at his partner eat this fruit. He's not back home in his man cave, and she's down at the Mall of Eden and at the serpent's kiosk and being hit up on by a slick salesman. And he's at home watching the antelopes play. He is right there with her while this conversation is going on. He watches her eat it. Nothing at all happens, people. Y'all stop telling this lie. And there's a play out here right now. I really wish it would stop. It was really funny, but it's just inaccurate. That Eve was the one who sinned, and she did not. Humanity sinned. She's a part of that. But Adam was the one who did not tell her what Elohim had said, because Elohim said it before he took the womb man out. The womb man was down here in the womb. Adam got that instruction up here. That's in his brain. So imagine this. If the womb man was still in the womb and Adam was by himself as a dual-dwelt entity, an atypical entity, when the evil used the serpent to come at him, then the brain of Adam, having the instruction, would have been able to say, no, we shall not eat it. And the womb man inside would now have that instruction. And they wouldn't have their own body, but they would follow the instructions, because the brain would kick in. Yes, Elohim did say, we shall not eat of that tree. End of discussion. The serpent would have had nowhere, the evil would not have nowhere to go with that from that point on. But because Adam, once Elohim extracted the womb man and gave her own pulchritude, Though he may have meant to, we don't know. I don't think he would not. He just did not. And by not doing it, not being careful to share the instruction with her in her own pulchritude, she had to guess what she sort of kind of knew about because she was in the body when it was said. But he is the antenna. That's why, ladies, when you take a man's hand in marriage, if he don't have vision and he's not hearing clearly from Elohim, nor if he's not communicating with you, his raw thoughts, be careful following that man, because he'll get your resources doing something that's not the plan of Elohim. And that'll make y'all wrong.
Roundtree, I have a question.
So when we work with and understand these things from what Yahweh has spoken about, Moshe, Adam, has the plan in his head. He doesn't communicate it to the womb man. So now when the serpent realizes this, not the serpent, but evil that took over the serpent, when the evil playing through the serpent, like it played through Lucifer to get him cast down, now he's going for this kingdom. Y'all thought it was the devil. Y'all thought Lucifer was just Lucifer was an angel. He was a cherubim. He was an archangel. He was a cherub, the anointed cherub. Evil got into him somehow. And that's what made him want to exalt his throne against the knowledge of Elohim, against the throne of Elohim. And that's how he got cast down, and the third that followed after his suggestion. Now, they didn't get cast down. Only Lucifer got cast down. His name is now Hashatan. And those angels that followed after his attempt to make that coup, they presently, even since that day, and I know what y'all think y'all read in the book of Enoch. Leave all that stuff to understand it, because the book of Jude explains it the greatest way. Those particular angels are bound up in chains right now. They are not demons floating around the world messing with you. They are bound up in chains, reserved not in darkness, under darkness, until Yahweh pulls them out for the day of judgment and then throws them into the lake of fire. The only angel that got charged and judged that day was Lucifer. Yahweh will judge those angels who fell from their first estate in that day of the judgment. Lucifer did get judged, and if he could get saved, I promise you he would jump on the opportunity in a heartbeat. He can't, because he's already been judged to damnation. So when in fact Adam sees his external partner and resource eat that fruit, nothing happens to her, because she was not her own ears when this instruction was given to Adam. And Adam, being the ears, the antenna of the word, also supposed to be the articulator and the disseminator of the word to his partner. This is what he was supposed to do. He did not do that when she came out. Whether he forgot, just got careless, whatever, the enemy took that opportunity to capitalize on that incompleted task. Now Isha eats it. She's Gucci. Nothing happens to her. She eats it. Whoa, this really is good. Man, I wonder if I can fricassee this and saute this and maybe throw it in a pie. This ain't bad at all. Here, Adam, who the instruction was given to and supposed to have told me, here, try it. Adam didn't hesitate. He saw she didn't die, fall over. Sky didn't turn black. The volcanoes didn't start erupting. The animals wasn't screaming, hoo, hoo, ha, ha, hoo, hoo. They wasn't tripping in the forest. Everything was cool. But as soon as he ate it, all hell broke loose. So who sinned? Couldn't have been Ishai. It was humanity, and Adam was the head of that. Now humanity has failed. But the point was the serpent naked? Was the giraffe naked? Was the elephant naked? Was the monkeys naked? Was the duck-billed platypus naked? Was the kangaroo naked? Was the serpent naked? Was Adam and Ishai naked? Suddenly, after eating this fruit, I think I'm naked. There should be your first experience and introduction to theology. Man thinks he's on the same level with Elohim because he got sold a bill of lading by evil, who Elohim made, to feel like he would see things in the spirit realm like God, rather than understanding Elohim gives you insight into that world. That's what that fruit gave you. And if you eat it when I tell you to eat it, you'll be able to deal with everything that will literally always come toward you. Because when you would do good, evil's always present. But I'm not going to have you deal with evil while you're experiencing this good. I'll break all that down to you later, because you got to have evil with good to have balance in life. It'll rain on the just as well as the unjust. However, Adam, my new creation, I'm going to introduce you to evil after I think you've had an appropriate dose of good. So when I do introduce you to evil, once that happens, you'll be like, oh, that's what evil does? That's not what I'm used to. Yeah, I don't want that. I'm good with good. Somebody say, I'm good with good. I'm good with good.
I'm good with good. I'm good with good.
And so by the time Elohim would introduce humanity to this, they would already have enough dosage of good. And Eve will be like, yeah, nah, I'm okay. I'll stay right over here. What else you need me to do? Where am I supposed to be at now, Elohim? Thank you for letting me learn about that. That was informational. Thanks for the education. I got a master's in that now. Yeah, I don't want the parts of it. So I'll teach my children what not to do and how evil looks. I'll use that to teach my children. So suddenly, after he eats this tree and its fruit, this fruit of this tree, now suddenly he thinks he's naked. Come on, y'all. Just stay with me for a second. He thinks he's naked. He even thinks he knows how to fix the problem about him being naked. I don't know how many years, decades, he was sitting there with his partner, fully dressed by Elohim, but now he done ate the knowledge of good and evil. He thinks he's naked. And he then thinks he knows how to fix his nakedness. Now he thinks he understands the inventory of the garden so well, he thinks he can take a vine and string together some fig trees, leaves, and cover his nakedness and his spouse's, his partner's nakedness. Then he thinks it's not good for, Elohim is on his way down here. That's right, Dr. Harris, you get it. I wish I had more people that would type that in. He thinks he knows what he's doing. Look, babe, hide over here behind this tree because it's Sabbath and Elohim's on his way down. He talks to us in the cool of this day. He thinks he can hide from Elohim. And Elohim lets him think what he wants because he's now eating the tree of knowledge, good and evil. So Elohim comes down. Y'all pay attention. Elohim comes down. If y'all know the story, Elohim comes down. You can go to Genesis chapter 3, Bereshit chapter 3. Elohim comes down and he says from the place he would meet them in, where is you know, you know how you were as an adult when you played hide and go seek with your children. You would act like you didn't hear him breathing in the closet. You would act like you didn't hear him giggling from the laundry basket. You would act like you didn't hear him, you know, ruffling under the bed. Like, I wonder where they could be. Well, they must be in the basement. I'll go down in the basement. 3 stories down. And you're really elongating the game, right? Elohim comes and says, Adam, notice he doesn't say, I don't see you. I don't know where you at. He says, Adam, where are you, bro? He doesn't listen. Pay attention for y'all get deep. Pay attention. Yahweh never says, I don't know where you are. So when he's asking, he's not saying, hey, I don't see Adam, where you at, man? Adam, where you at, Adam? He is sitting right there in full view of Adam talking about, bro, we supposed to be over here. Why are you over there? Adam, where you at? Where you standing at? Adam, where you at, man? You ain't where you supposed to be. I know my plans concerning you, plans to give you an expected end. You supposed to be over here. Why are you over there, Adam? Well, see, right, what had happened was this woman you gave me, she went over there and ate that fruit. So I hid myself because I think I'm naked. Adam, who because I know I'm the only voice you're supposed to be listening to, and your wife and your partner, your bone of your bone. Who told you you was naked, Adam? Did I tell you was naked, Adam? Who told you was naked, Adam? Who told you was naked, Adam? Oh, the only place you could have got that from outside of me, which, quite frankly, y'all, I'm not convinced they were naked. And y'all like, well, Apostle, if I take these clothes off, I'm naked. In righteousness and goodness, Yahweh made humanity like he made every other beast of the field. Are the trees naked? Is the rose naked? Is the tulip naked? Is the lily of the field naked? Is the grass naked? So man was made like them, but better was man naked. And y'all like, Apostle, you going too deep. But once he ate the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, now he thinks he's naked. And he thinks he's right to keep himself away from Elohim. He thinks, thirdly, he's right that he can fix the problem of his perceived nakedness. And he rips down some leaves from a fig tree and sews them together and puts them on him and his resource partner, Ishai, and says, here, wear this. You think he might have been trying to blend into the forest so God couldn't see him? Now that I think about it, make you think about it, don't it? So he says, Adam, who in this world told you you were naked? Well, I did eat of the tree you told me not to eat of. Oh, I see. So that's why you think being over there rather than over here with me was a smart thing, huh? Adam, let me tell you something, Mr. You only got knowledge, you don't have wisdom yet. You only have knowledge of good and evil. You don't even understand what you're dealing with, what you've just done. Let me talk to you, Mr. Wrapped in a fig tree. Did you know that the fig tree dies once you cut the limbs off of the actual tree I told you to tend? Yeah. Once they're disconnected from that stump, they dry out because there's no way to get any more moisture to it. Because right now it's soft to you, but in about a couple of days, that's going to be so hard and dry, you'll probably die the death of 1,000 cuts. So, Adam, you think you understand how to fix that problem? Did you make the fig tree? Did you make your body? You know I did that, right? So, tell me why you thought cutting a tree down, and apparently you don't know when it dries out how hard it's going to get, that you should dress yourself in that. Since you don't know, I'm gonna do you a solid. I'm gonna do you a solid, Adam. Here's what I'm gonna do. Since you think you know so much, I'm gonna do you a solid, because what you've done and your thinking is nowhere near close to the best way to solve your perception that you were naked, because I made you perfect. So you tell me now that you got some knowledge of evil in your head, and what I made perfect, you find it perverted. So, Adam, in your perception, which has perverted my perfection, you think you're naked, at least don't hurt yourself unnecessarily covering yourself. There are skins over here that would do much better for you. Here's some skins for you. And this will keep you warm in the winter months, because that fig leaf can't do nothing for you but maybe start a fire, but you ain't ready for that yet. So here, take that off that you thought to put together and put this on. This has a better result for your desire, since you think you naked. We're talking Torah. Y'all know that, right? And when we start thinking that we can be like Elohim, we don't just fool ourselves, we hurt ourselves. If Yahweh would have let that fig tree stay on Adam, how long y'all think it would have taken him to get to hurt himself? Would he have hurt himself with the tree on his privates?
That would have hurt.
You think she'd have been hurt? Who told you was naked? You sat in your first business meeting with me. Did I tell you was naked? It's like y'all think that Adam and Ishai had on clothes when they went to the meeting in the Sabbath, the seventh day with Elohim. You know, clothes as you and I now have to wear them, because our perception is affected by what Adam has perceived, and now we were born in that way. And in Elohim's eyes, we were not. He made us exactly how he needed us to be. He gave you hair to cover areas to keep you from whatever, you know. Was the lion naked? Was the Clydesdale naked? Was the dog naked? Was the hyena naked? What made you think humanity was naked? Nothing Elohim made was naked. Who told us we needed clothing? Evil. Seeing life through evil's perspective perverts Elohim's perfection. And now you see it from evil. So who's your daddy now? Good or evil? See, naked is the way we defined it now. We say, oh, there's nothing covering you. You're naked. You have to have clothing. Well, where did the word cloth come from? What is covering me? So who told you, Adam, all good, that you were naked? I didn't. Did I say you was naked and you should? Did I say, oh, Adam, cover up? How many times have I met with you, Adam? Oh, but now you ate this knowledge of good and evil. And you know more than me. You know the composite of that wood tree that you think smells good and it's got figs on it and it's got leaves that are soft because they are velvety. You think that this is good quality. So this is your fashion statement now, Adam. This is what we're doing. This is the trend. At least if you're going to do that, do it wisely. Your thoughts are not like my thoughts. Your ways are not like my ways. Apostle, he ain't say that. Yeah, he did. But he did ask, who told you you was naked? And he did remove him from his fig leaf understanding. How many of us are finding ourselves in a fig leaf religion? Because we think we know God. We theology. I don't know. I find that to be deep. Ooh, boy.
It is.
So let's look at what it looks like.
Apostle, you have a question?
Okay, what's the question? Who's in queue?
Roundtree.
Go, Roundtree, go. Sorry.
Yes, sir. So we were having this discussion in another group about the very topic you're talking on. So I'm hoping that you can help me understand better. At the end of chapter 2, it says that they were both naked and not ashamed. And we were having the discussion about that they were naked, but there was no shame. And when they actually ate the fruit, that's when shame entered the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And so can you help us with that? Because what I think I hear you saying is that, because we were saying that there was nothing wrong with naked, because they were both naked and not ashamed. And naked would imply that you are, when you are born, what you are born with is your skin. You're naked. So lions, giraffes, when they're born, they don't put on other animals' clothes, right? They are naked. They don't have that knowledge of good and evil the way we do. And so when we see our birthday suits, we find shame in that, but that's because we've partaken of something. But I think I hear you saying that no, they're not naked, or are we saying the same thing and you're just putting it a different way?
No, you're reading Yahweh speaking to Moshe.
Okay, but so you're saying
I'm pausing for
what
effect.
we're saying is, go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Thank you. You're reading Yahweh speaking to Moshe. When does this version of his Elohim's story for humanity get told? Is Elohim speaking this to Adam? Is Elohim speaking this to Cain and Abel? Is Elohim speaking this to Enoch? Is Elohim speaking this to Methuselah? No, this is millennia later. Elohim is giving Moshe what Moshe, now a human, affected by the injection of good and evil in his mind by Adam, his daddy. He now has this perspective and he understands this concept of nakedness. So Elohim is speaking to Moshe, giving us the Torah. So to get the message conveyed to humanity, who is now bound by the perspective and perceptions of good and evil, because Adam has it now in our members. That's why Yahweh could not use a seed of Adam to bring Yeshua. So this is first off, Yahweh speaking to Moshe, millennia later, giving him in a language he can understand the scenario of man's fall. So when he says they are naked and not afraid, not ashamed, shame does enter because evil is there. They were not perverted. You are ashamed when something is perverted and you are a part of it. That's one way. But being ashamed is finding out you've done something that Elohim doesn't like. So being naked and ashamed does not instantaneously apply to the fact that Adam sees Ishai and they're ashamed. It also could imply they were without covering and they were ashamed by the time Yahweh got there for their meeting in the garden. So shame does not automatically inextricably connect itself to Adam looking at Ishai, Ishai looking at Adam, and they were ashamed that they were naked. It doesn't, though it may imply because they did cover themselves, but shame also can be in the fact that they don't know why they know this now, and they were ashamed. That's why they were hidden. And Elohim said, where y'all at? Well, Apostle, you saying the same thing. No, being ashamed that they saw each other is not the only way that that can be looked at. Being ashamed that they can see each other because they couldn't previously, and that they did take, in fact, that fruit he told them not to eat. Their disobedience is also a reason why they could be shamed. So when Yahweh is speaking to Moshe millennia later about the historical account of humanity's history, he's talking to Moshe in terms Moshe can understand. They were naked. They were not ashamed. Moshe understands nakedness. Why? Because he now, since Adam, has to wear clothes. And we deem that as a classification of nakedness, unclothed. When a child is born in the birthday suit today, when an animal is born, when a horse is born, they are not naked. We say they're naked because we have knowledge and we perceive it, and now we have given it verbiage, and that's what it means to us. That animal is not naked. Humanity was not naked. Humanity was perfect. But evil, enmity against Elohim, caused man to see Elohim's creation differently. Now our standard is, we're naked. Who told you was naked, bro? If you were in a position where you were inappropriate for me, I would have given you what you needed. You didn't need anything. But now that you're looking and listening to another voice, not mine, at least if you're going to do that way, now that you see it that way, don't cut yourself. Let me give you something to help you. That to me is Elohim's mercy personified. So are we saying the same thing? I want to make sure you all understand when Moshe was given this, it is millennia later. And we can get so drawn into the storyline that we forget the storyline is being told to Moshe by Elohim, who is not lying, by the way. But at end of day, Yahweh never told them they were naked. He told them everything else. He never told them they were naked. Man thinks he's naked. Because he got unguided knowledge. So there is nothing to cover man's unguided consumption of knowledge that Elohim said don't take yet. Has him in this thought process, he knows better than Elohim. Elohim never tells him he's naked. Elohim asks him, who told you you were? Since you think you are now, perceive it that way, that you are imperfect in this condition. At least don't hurt yourself, because now you think like me. And you wrapped yourself in a tree. Boy, you stupid. Adam took unguided knowledge he was warned not to take. I would add, not yet. So in this issue of, well, the Bible says they were naked and not ashamed. Understand, naked and not ashamed is a concept after Adam has declared we're naked, because Adam thinks he knows what nakedness is about. And now by the time Noah is on the scene, he's under Adam's thinking process. We all are under Adam's thinking process since the inception and the consumption of the knowledge of good and evil. Does that help a little bit, or does that just leave you at the same place you were when you started your question?
No, it helps me understand where you're coming from when you're explaining it, sir. We were in a long discussion, and the point of shame came in exactly as you had stated. We were not saying that they saw each other and they were ashamed. It was once they took a bite of the fruit and gained knowledge, they knew they had done something wrong.
That's the shame.
Right. That was the shame. So I understand now how you explained it, and the fact that we have to remember that the story is told to Moses later. So there are things that Yahweh is putting in place for him. So the rest of us, when we read it, we can understand it conceptually. So yes, sir. Thank you.
Yahweh be praised. Good question. All right. Was there another mod? Was there more in queue?
No, sir.
Cool. So when you take on not obeying Elohim's instructions, you do things your own way when the instructions are there to give you success in every way. You can make that a quote. When you take on not obeying Elohim's instructions, you do things your own way when Elohim's word is designed to give you success in every way. But you think you know better. You think you know God. Oh, I know God. I know I hear in the spirit, God. I hear in the spirit. Yeah. Okay. I'd love to have Moshe sit down and teach a class to us about hearing in the spirit. We don't have the problem Moshe had, or Avram had, or Enoch had, or Methuselah had, or Seth had, or Cain had, Abel had, Nimrod had. We don't have that problem. Elohim made it simpler for us now. Put his word in writing so that we could read it into our hearing. It was interesting because I was having a conversation with respect to how the human mind only listens to the voice from that human. Since the eating of that tree. So I wondered, I thought, I'm like, Elohim, is it possible you wrote down the words so that we would recite them because we don't listen to your voice? We only listen to our voice. So you wrote the words so we could recite your words with our voice. And you get what you need, us obeying your word, because we only listen to our voice. And as long as our voice has your words on it, we'll do it. All right. I'll leave that on the table. So when we assemble ourselves together, we assemble on the days that Elohim put in place. We don't make up our own days to assemble and say, this is what I'm going to offer Elohim. I'm going to make Sabbath my own day. I'm going to do Sabbath my own way. You can go to 1 Kings chapters 15, 16, 17, 18, and learn what happens when you change the dates and you change the locations without Elohim's justification, just on your own, doing it because you have insecurities or you have an ego to stroke, like Jeroboam did. And now you know why we call Israel, we call the Samaritans the lost tribes of Israel. They physically got lost, but it first started with them spiritually getting lost. And that's how other countries just picked that country apart. I mean, picked it apart and enslaved it. And yeah, it is what it is. So when you change what Elohim put in his word, or you think you can do it your own way, even though you have his instructions sitting right in front of you, you think you are entitled and enabled to think like Elohim, augment his words, his instructions, and then cause him to feel sufficed by your efforts, which you barely know chemistry. You barely know geometry. And you're going to tell Elohim, here, you should accept this. I know what you said you wanted, but we're not willing to, and actually we're not capable of giving that to you. So you should be satisfied with this. Here you go. Take this. And be happy we're giving you that, you know. And by the way, thank you for the clothes you gave to Adam, because he'd have had us around here in some chiffon looking all crazy. We've been having sycamore tree shawls and mahogany leaves, and yeah, thank you for that, Elohim. Yes, I'm having fun with it.
That's good, Apostle.
Well, thank you very much. Somebody found that funny. Thank God everybody not passed out sleeping. So in truth, again, we started this off by talking about not forsaking the assembling of yourselves together. I need you to understand, if you're coming in late, and don't take sound bites out of here. If you're coming in late, we have been too many places for y'all to think you understood what we're saying right here, to take a sound bite out of here and then say, oh, he's blasphemous, or he's not teaching right, or that's not of God and that ain't right. But this topic of people thinking that we're saying do not assemble. I'm not telling you not to assemble. I'm telling you that Elohim has a time for you to assemble. And just because your organization that's selling God ideas from theology does not mandate the times Elohim said to gather, because theology tells you the Old Testament and the Tanakh or the Torah are just for those who were Jews. And you don't need that, because you, Protestant Christian, is in the New Testament where Yeshua lived. And then he gave us a new commandment, which is also not true. He gave us a new carrier for the same commandments. He began and became a cannibalizer of certain elements in the Torah. What? Right. Messiah's life, death, bleeding, opening up of his flesh, and burial and resurrection took on sin's redemption. 60% of the Torah dealt with how to be redeemed, or I should say 60% of the 613 instructions of Elohim, commandments, the mitzvahs of Elohim, 60% of them were how to be redeemed from a myriad of sins in a myriad of ways. Some you brought turtle doves a certain way, you brought goats a certain way, and you brought lamb a certain way, ox a certain way, you brought grain a certain way, drink offering a certain way for certain types of sins. There are a myriad of them. I mean a myriad of them, but Messiah's death, his body prepared, made one way to be redeemed for all sins. That 60% of the mitzvah helped humanity be redeemed by. So when Messiah shows up, he is giving us an understanding that the word is the same. I'm just giving you a different carrier. I'm no longer going to write it on 2 tablets and leave it in the ark. The body of Yeshua is the living ark. You pay attention to the Ark of the Covenant, it had the mercy seat on top. But if you pay attention to the length and the width, it's basically a coffin. Inside of that Ark of the Covenant, when you lift the lid of the mercy seats off, you will find there is the Torah inside. That's the word of God inside the ark. You will also find next to that is the unleavened, not the unleavened bread, but the manna, the bread from heaven that is not molding, is not ever dying. It's just preserved, fully live for millennia. And then after that, you have the rod of Aaron that budded, dead hundreds of years, broken off from a tree hundreds of years, and in a movement where Elohim was appointing the Gadol Kohanim out of the Levitical order, out of the Levitical tribe, he says, to show that there is no nepotism here, I'm going to select the pastor, I'm going to select the high priest, I'm going to select the Moedim, the Gadol Kohanim, and I want everyone to see me do it. So go grab every Levite leader, grab every leader in the tribe of Israel. Bring me all the heads of the tribe's staffs to the front. And the staff that actually buds will be the high priest of the tabernacle. Aaron's rod budded. He grew fruit overnight. Almonds, edible almonds. Overnight. Everybody knew that was impossible. Everybody knew that was an act of Elohim. And that rod, representing resurrection, went inside the ark. Pay attention. So in this coffin, there was a mercy seat representing a counselor. To get mercy, you have to have an argument made. Inside of this ark, coffin, is the word of life, the bread of life, and the resurrection life. Is that not Yeshua? So he's not going to put the word on tablets of stone any longer. He's putting the word in tablets of your mind, and the second one in your heart. That's the new covenant. But it's the same word given to Moshe. But the New Testament understanding today, the new modern day Church of Christendom thinks that he made a whole new covenant, did away with the Torah. No, he did away with the sin sacrifice in the Torah. He is the only sacrifice now for any and all sins needed. But all the instructions of Torah, that's why he says, hang the Torah, hang the mitzvah on these two. And if you do these two, you'll fulfill all the rest. First one, honor and love Elohim with your whole heart, mind, body, and your strength. Obey what? Honor him how? You got to obey his word. The second one, and then love your neighbor as you love yourself. He never changed the Torah. He just changed the carrier. He moved it from stones that could be turned over and left sitting in the room, and he put them on basically a mud pie. He put it in the tablets in your heart. Now you carry this word with you wherever you go. Did y'all know that's what he actually said? That's what was actually said. No longer will a man have to come and say, hey, here is what God is saying. You'll already know Elohim. The issue is when you hear it externally, it'll quicken in your body. Like, I don't know why I know that's true, but that what he just spoke, she just spoke is truth. And it's because it's been written in your tablets of your mind and in the tablets of your heart. And when you hear it externally coming through your ears or coming through your eye gates, you'll be like, yo, my spirit bears witness with that spirit of life that I am a child of God when I obey these instructions, because it's already inside of you. That's the new covenant. No man will have to say to his brother, no God, because you will already have knowledge of him. The issue is, will you obey it? And will you get enough of the word coming in on a regular basis, i.e. the Shabbat, where you sit down and you learn his word? And you don't speak your own words. You don't speak your own dramas. You don't speak your own issues. And even though I use a lot of testimonial today about a conversation, it is pushing us to understand how the Torah has been not manipulated, but the way that people have pushed the Torah out and propagated it, it was told in a way that looked like we don't need it because Yeshua did it all. Well, him doing it all meant he showed us how to do it. And he finished life doing it and was rewarded because he did it with his whole life. And that's how we want to be like Yeshua. Are y'all learning anything? We've been, 2 hours and 33 minutes. I'm going to let y'all go. I'll come back in the morning. That's right. He is a, not example, though, Grace. I want to make sure we always, that's a great statement, though. She said, he's our perfect example. Only thing I want you to do is change that X to an N. I want to change that X to an N for Nancy. When you spell that, he's our N sample. You know why? Because the example is something dead, like an ex-spouse, ex-friend. That's a dead issue. N sample means he is yet living. So Yeshua HaMashiach is our N sample. He's yet alive. He's yet alive. Good point, though, Grace. Loved it. There you go. Thank you, Grace. She put that right out there real quick, too. I love it. All right. I hope you guys have had the opportunity to learn something and hold something true to your hearts. I'm going to come back in the morning. Tomorrow morning, it's right now 2:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, USA. I'm going to probably be back around 11:30 a.m., maybe noon Eastern Standard Time on the 12th, which is this day. She said, I'm woke now. Here's our N sample, ENSAMPLE. And we'll come back tomorrow. We'll read How to Shabbat. Why do we gather on the days he asked for? What is that gathering about? So if he's begging us, do not forsake the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is. What was the manner of some? The Torah explains it clearly, and then it's backed up by Paul and Peter, most importantly, Yeshua. The word of Elohim is in the Bible. Do not think every place you read in the Bible is the word of Elohim, though all of the Bible is inspired by Elohim breathing on men, reminding them of how the Torah impacted lives prior to them and in the times they themselves were living. That's the inspiration. Paul says the scriptures were written aforetime for our learning. Well, Paul wrote that in one of the epistles he wrote that's in our Bible. So the Bible was not completed in Paul's day. The stories of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, which Luke wrote, were not, they were recorded, but they were not stitched together in a pamphlet and made a Bible. The stories of Yochanan, the epistles of Galatia, the epistles of Philippi, the epistles of Thessalonica and Corinth were not. Paul was saying this to them then, that the scriptures were written aforetime. What scriptures? So the Bible isn't the scriptures. I'm going to get in so much trouble. I'm going to let y'all sleep on that. We'll come back and talk about it in the morning. Are y'all all right? Did y'all learn something today? I hope that the Yahweh help you.
Absolutely.
So we'll be back on in just a few hours. Y'all give me about, it's 2 o'clock now to sleep until, give me about 10 hours. We'll be back on. And about 8 hours of good sleep. I'm going to go rest. Body's been through a lot. And I know you guys were sort of kind of thinking we weren't going to be coming back for y'all, with y'all in the morning hours of Friday, starting in Sabbath on Friday with the coming in of our West Coast group, who I think is asleep. I ain't heard nothing from the West Coast.
We're not asleep. Shabbat shalom.
That's one. My whole I don't see. Oh, Nora says I'm up. Oh no, I see you, Adrian. I see you. Vegas in the house, probably now California now. So it's good to see you out there. Rosenberg out there. South Africa's up and live. I see y'all. California in the building, I heard. Shug Rice said, yeah, we wide awake, fam. Okay. It's good to hear, y'all. It's good to hear. Who is that? Cheney says, Shabbat Shalom. All right, Cheney. Yeah, they say they're wide awake. So, all right, I repent for putting y'all out on blast like that. But I'm going to go ahead and get some rest. Thank you all for your prayers to Yahweh Rapha for my behalf on the outpatient surgery that I had to have because I talked so much and had to get some oral work done. And we were hit with a delay on an outpatient surgery. We had to shut down our whole Wednesday days of broadcasts and Thursdays. So that's why many of you had your appointments canceled, because I had to can't get air in the mouth and teeth and mouth. I'm good. I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong with me. We're just going through surgeries to maintain your body. Always keep good health, people. Always get maintenance checkups and let them direct you and guide you in how to keep your body in its maximum optimized position. Mouth, head, mental health is important. Physical health is important. And Sabbath makes spiritual health your portion. Father, we thank you for the word today. We thank you for the time. We thank you for the conversation around your Torah. And we thank you for allowing us to direct it into your Torah, that we should always assemble, never forsake the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, helping us to realize and understand that your days you sanctioned are why you want us to gather. Sabbath is a day that we sit and welcome you into our home, welcome you to our bedrooms, welcome you to our laundry rooms, welcome you into our kitchens, welcome you into our lanai, welcome you into our patios, welcome you into our dining area, our living area, our offices, welcome into our property line. Grant us your presence as you desire. Welcome into this place. Welcome into our broken vessels. Have your way in us. Reset us. Reset our thinking. And I know we still have a lot of ingrained defaults about how we theologically see you. Help us to see you per your instructions, like Yeshua did. And Paul came back to do. Moshe made effort. This is our earnest prayer. And all remaining hours of this Shabbat, we want to keep our minds stayed on you. And this way you'll see us delighting in you, and you will cause us to ride upon the high places of the earth, and you will feed us with the heritage of Jacob, as you've promised, because you are Yahweh Tsabaoth. Now I pray for healing, Yahweh Rapha, physically over all of your people in this Shabbat. We are masters of the Shabbat, so we declare you Yahweh Rapha. If there's anybody in this atmosphere hearing my voice in the Shabbat, if you are not at your best physical, I want you to speak Yahweh Rapha. You are my healer in this day, in this moment. You don't have to come off mic, but speak Yahweh Rapha in this day that is empowered to bless you. I promise you. If your finances are not where they need to be, I need you to let him know that you know him as El Shaddai. You know him as Yahweh Yirith, the Lord my provider. If you are dealing with legal matters and issues that have you in litigation and litigious scenarios, I want you to speak the name Yahweh Nisi right where you are right now. If you are dealing with matters that have beaten you down all week long, maybe even longer, and you just don't know if you got the strength to continue, I want you to call upon the name of Yahweh Uzai. He is your strength. If you've been dealing with the issues of your life and you're like, Yahweh, I know I'm not living righteous in you, I want you to call upon the name of Yahweh Sidkanu. Yeah. And if you want to find yourself in him properly cleansed and understood by virtue of his word, which cleanses you, call him Yahweh Makadeshkim. He cleanses you. So Yahweh, we come in this day knowing your name. You are our strong tower. Those who desire to do right in you, we run into you and you promised you would save us. And we believe, Yahweh, you raised Yeshua from the dead. We believe he sits in your right hand, making intercession for us right now. Yeshua HaMashiach. Thank you. Thank you for getting victory over flesh by complying to the word at all times, by complying to Adonai in you at all times, even though your flesh on you was full of sin. You give us an ensample and a manifested demonstration of how victory is for us and how you overcame the world of sin. Thank you. We honor you. We love you. And Yahweh, thank you for sending this prepared body to show our bodies that if we let ourselves be filled with your word, i.e., take Sabbath seriously, in one way, you would give us that same victory. Hallelujah, way. Baruch Hashem Adonai. El Elohe Israel. Alleluia. Now may Yahweh bless you all and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May Yahweh lift his countenance upon you all and grant you all 13 attributes of his shalom. This we pray in the mighty and in the matchless name of Yeshua HaMashiach. I'll see you guys just in a few more hours. Give me about 10, maybe 8 hours, and we'll be back. All righty.
Let's talk kingdom. He's the one you can lean on. He don't change, he stays the same. Won't find a better reason, no. So come tap in, just listen. And bring a friend, let's spread this vision. Let's talk kingdom. He's the one you can lean on. He don't change, he stays the same. Won't find a better reason, no. So come tap in, just listen. And bring a friend, let's spread this vision.
Shabbat.